How to build a Blackgates Sweet Pea 5-inch gauge locomotive, part 35, fitting the cylinder drain cocks, checking that they are the right way round and using shim washers to fit them in place, making some plates for the operating mechanism and getting it wrong. This is a very simple job, but it is very easy to get it wrong. Each of the drain cocks has to be fitted in the correct position, and if you don't give this some consideration and do it wrong, they will not work. The first thing to do is to screw one of the drain cocks into the cylinder, just as a test fit. This obviously needs a washer because it's in the wrong position. I want the operating arms on each of these drain cocks to face towards the chassis. In a previous episode I sorted them out so I know which one goes where, always a good thing. What I'm going to do is show how to fit shim washers, and here is a typical copper shim washer in place on top of the cylinder. This shim washer is too thick for the job. By the way, you can buy these shim washers in packs of different sizes from Blackgates Engineering. And even though this shim washer is a bit thick for this application, it may be okay for one of the other drain cocks. If you compare the thickness of the previous shim washer and this one, there's not a lot in it, but there doesn't need to be much. When I tighten the drain cock into position, it's about right. When I fit these into the cylinders, I will of course be using Loctite 542, which is a hydraulic thread sealant. And there's no time like the present, because this one's in the correct position, so I unscrew it, leaving the shim washer on the cylinder, and then I apply some of this to the thread of the drain cock. It's a bottle of Loctite 542, and I apply some of this to the thread on the drain cock and then screw it in position. This is a really good fit in the cylinder, and by the time the Loctite 542 has cured, it will not move. When I tightened the second one in place, it needed a little bit of persuasion to tighten it fully. I'm using a Barco spanner for this, as you can see. Be aware though that these drain cock threads are only 3/16 by 40 threads per inch, and you will strip them, or worse, break them if you apply too much pressure. Make sure that you use the correct shim washer for the application. Whenever I fit this type of cylinder drain, I always check them with a pin. I open the valve and make sure the pin goes down into the cylinder. Obviously the piston is in the centre of the cylinder at the moment. It's also important to use a glass-headed type of pin so it doesn't go all the way in. That's one cylinder done. Over now to the one at the other side. Why do we need cylinder drain cocks, or cylinder drains, or cylinder drain taps, whatever you want to call them? The answer is simple. This is a steam engine, and the first steam that gets to the cylinders immediately condenses to water, which means that at each end of the piston there is a considerable amount of water. The water becomes less as the cylinders get hot. But even when they're hot, if you stop in the station or stop for any reason, you must always open the drain cocks before opening the regulator to set off again. Watch some videos showing full-size steam locomotives and you will notice that a lot of the time there's quite a lot of steam billowing out of the front of the cylinders. That's because on a lot of steam locomotives, particularly later ones, they have piping attached that blows the steam out of the front. Here, by the way, I'm using the pin method to check that the orientation is correct. These drain cocks do not have any extension pipes and they blow the water straight down. Cylinder drains are an essential piece of equipment on a steam locomotive or even a stationary steam engine. Steam is an invisible gas. The white stuff that you see is water vapour, but the condensate is water, and this does not compress. And the bigger the cylinder, the worse the situation would be if you got a hydraulic lock. I've seen a hydraulic lock cause great damage and blow off the front of the cylinder cover on a 7 1/4 inch gauge locomotive, so you can imagine what it's like on a full-size one. I need to build an operating mechanism so that the drains can be switched on and off. It's a twin rocking lever system. I'll be showing this in detail in a future episode, but I'm not going to do it just yet. I need to make a support system to hold the cross shaft that will operate the cylinder drains underneath the cylinder. I'm going to make these parts and bolt them to the chassis using the cylinder bolts. On the 5th of August 2024, I really am very pleased to announce that I will stop taking the hormone therapy tablets. These are all part of my prostate cancer treatment. I'm not making excuses, but when I watch this video back, I can see how wrong I'm doing it. The hormone therapy has really severely affected my short-term memory. Even these voiceovers take twice as long as they used to do because I can't remember what I've just said. In this clip, I'm cutting 2 pieces of steel plate on my bandsaw. I used this first piece as a pattern and cut a second one. Then I clamped both of the pieces of steel plate together, put them in the machine vise on the milling machine and cleaned across the top. So now they are both exactly the same length. Once I'd done this, I cleaned up the edges on the belt sander. I applied marking out glue to one of the plates, and when it had dried, I marked the position for the 3 holes. At this stage, my brain had gone into not thinking very well mode. There are 2 things wrong here. I've marked the holes in the wrong position, and the holes are supposed to slope. The cylinders are mounted to the chassis slightly inclined. So not only did I drill these holes in the wrong place, even though I measured twice, they're just not going to work because the holes should not be in line with each other. As well as some other interesting things, I'll be showing how I made the plates properly in the next episode. The bolts that hold the cylinders to the frames are actually metric, they are M6, but I'm drilling these holes 1/4 inch in diameter to give me a bit of clearance. I was quite pleased how the holes turned out. They were exactly on the scribed lines, but unfortunately not in the place they needed to be. By this time desperation was setting in, so I milled some slots and they looked horrendous. I try not to do bodges, so the only place for these 2 pieces of metal is in the scrap bin. I'll show how I made the proper ones in the next episode, but that's it for this one. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.